President Putin will be delighted with Russia's World Cup efforts so far. World Cup hosts Russia all but secured their place in the knockout stages with a comprehensive 3-1 win over Egypt in Saint Petersburg. Mohamed Salah scored on his return from the penalty spot, but it mattered little as an own goal by Egypt captain Ahmed Fathy and strikes from Denis, Cheryshev and Artem Dzyuba won the day for Russia. Here are 4 talking points from the opening game of the second round of group matches. Russia's attacking quality proved too much for Egypt as the game went on. In the end, Russia's opening result at the World Cup did not tell the full story. 3 goals in the last few minutes added an extra layer of gloss to it, but there were spells in the game against Saudi Arabia where they looked like the poor side many claimed they were before the tournament. All eyes, when not looking at Salah, were on them to see how they would settle without Alan Zagoyev, who was forced off early with a hamstring problem on Thursday. Cheryshev, his replacement in that game, started in his place. Alexander Golovin, who was without his partner in crime, played centrally as opposed to on the left. He still found his rhythm, though, linking well with Dzyuba, another change made for this game. It was clear his physicality offered them something different to Fyodor Smolov up front, and that Stanislav Cheryshev was targeting their opponent's weakness with defending crosses. Russia were set up the way they finished against the Saudis, and they performed like it, too. Golovin continued to show just why some of Europe's big clubs are keeping tabs on him, finding space brilliantly and unlocking the Egypt defense much better than Uruguay did on Friday. The 22-year-old went close early on, while evergreen central defender Sergei Ignashevich also got in on the action. Dzyuba's presence encouraged more crosses into the box, and while the Zenit striker seemed at home back on his own turf, his impact waned a little before the break. But if anything was going to make the break for Russia, it looked like the newly formed Golovin-Dzyuba partnership, while Cheryshev continued to add a great balance in midfield. The opening goal had very little to do with the hosts. Just 2 minutes after the restart, Golovin's cross was punched by Mohamed El Shenawy. Egypt failed to set themselves, meaning Roman Zobnin's weak follow-up shot could only be deflected in by Fathy. Cheryshev netted his third at the tournament just shy of the hour mark, and 3 minutes later, Dzyuba continued to prove why he should play a crucial role in the national side by adding the third. Trophy Russia have now made the best start out of any host nation in the history of the World Cup. Have been for Mohamed Salah despite his penalty back home. They call him the happiness maker, and Egyptians everywhere will have been beaming from ear to ear when news broke that Salah would be starting. It had been suggested that Hector Cooper's decision not to bring him off the bench cost them the game against Uruguay. Psychologically, his teammates dropped off when it became clear he wouldn't be involved, just as their opponents appeared to get a spring in their step once they realized he was clearly not fully fit, and his approach was full of caution, yet he was still involved in everything Egypt did. Yuri Zhirkov and Mario Fernandes, Russia's 2 fullbacks, did not venture forward as much as they did last week because they knew of his threat. There were flashes from the Faroes' other attacking outlet winger Mahmoud Trezeguet Hassan, who seemed to have grown in confidence by playing with Salah, but it just wasn't their night. One flash of the player who terrorized defenses all over Europe came in the first half. He picked the ball up on the right-hand corner of the box in trademark fashion and swiveled on the spot. The connection with the ball was almost perfect, but it whistled past the post. Although that was his best moment of the game before the penalty, he did go close again later, before some clever play unlocked the door for Trezeguet to shoot wide just before he was replaced by Ramadan Sobhi. Salah got his moment in the sun, smashing home a spot kick which was awarded, after a check with VAR, for a foul on him, but he will likely leave the tournament early, robbed of his chance to make a real impact. Yuri Gazinski and Roman Zobnin were unsung Russian heroes. Dzyuba, Golovin and Cheryshev may take the headlines, and deservedly so, but Russia dominated the game in the midfield thanks to the imposing figures of Yuri Gazinski, who scored the World Cup's opening goal against Saudi Arabia, and Zobnin. It was clear that Egypt, initially at least, planned to utilize their pace on the counter-attack, but their moments were rare, because of the screening of their two holding players. Dzyuba was particularly impressive, having recovered from a bad knee injury at Spartak Moscow last season, getting involved in the first goal and retaining possession and driving his side forward as the pressure built slightly after Salah reduced the deficit. Uruguay will be worried. Their lack of dominance of the game against Egypt almost cost them. They were made to wait for Jose Jimenez's header to win the game in the latter stages. They will have to be much more forceful to break through Russia's midfield, who will be brimming with confidence. Russia 3-1 Egypt. Match center home support could take them far, but Russia are yet to be tested. Hosting a World Cup can do wonders for a country on and off the pitch. Only South Africa in 2010 had fallen at the first stage of their own party. Many believed Russia would join them, but they have taken the game to two opponents and turned doubters into believers. They have officially made the best start of any host. Even the atmosphere in Saint Petersburg was fittingly stunning. But they are yet to be tested properly. Egypt and Saudi Arabia are two poor sides, and Uruguay will provide a much sterner test. The goal difference makes it likely they will top Group A against all odds. Life will then get tougher once the knockout stages commence, but the turnaround has been amazing for Russia. There aren't too many sides who will want to play them. Want to read more football articles? Register with The Sportsman to personalize your news feed with your favorite sports and football team.